Episode 57 BY January 17, 2025 PM 2.5 Exposed near neighbors are concerned about healthcare bills. In episode 57 BY1A, United States list of Biden-Harris administration goals reached 1B. United States Lee Zeldin Trump EPA nominee is short on Environmental Experience RAWSEP View. Having an EPA head without experience increases the chances that decisions will be made which impact negatively the health of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners, and which allow increase of PM2.5. The near neighbors are exposed to 2 California PM2.5 exposed near neighbors are concerned about healthcare. Bill's bill of the month: he went in for a colonoscopy. The hospital charged $19,000 for 23A Utah, the world's smallest PM2.5 air quality sensor. 3B Utah, the PurpleAir story main content. 1A United States list of Biden-Harris administration goals reached email from the director of the White House Office of Political Strategy and Outreach for the Biden-Harris administration. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. January 16, 2025. Under the leadership of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, we have accomplished more in one term than most presidencies do in 2. President Biden began by signing the American Rescue Plan, which provided relief to families and beat a once-in-a-century pandemic and jump-started the economy thanks to the President Biden Investing in America agenda, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law (BIL), the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act (IRA), which marks the most significant investment in the United States since the New Deal. We have made investments to rebuild the United States infrastructure, build a clean energy economy, and create good-paying jobs. As a result, the Biden-Harris administration has created over 16 million jobs and lowered costs for families by thousands of dollars a year, including the cost of prescription drugs. We have begun work on over 40,000 infrastructure projects nationwide, seen a record 20 million new business applications, made the largest climate investment in history, confirmed 235 federal judges, which is the largest number of confirmations in a single term since the Carter administration, and witnessed the lowest average unemployment rate in 50 years. 1B United States Lee Zeldin Trump EPA nominee is short on Environmental Experience Zeldin, a Trump loyalist, would be charged with dismantling climate rules, and perhaps the agency itself. He faces questions from the Senate today. Former Representative Lee Zeldin spoke at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee in July RAWSEP View. Having an EPA head without experience increases the chances that decisions will be made which impact negatively the health of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners, and which allow increase of PM2.5. The near neighbors are exposed to. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. January 16, 2025. Of all the government agencies that President-elect Trump has threatened to shrink or eliminate, perhaps none has been a greater target than the Environmental Protection Agency. During the first Trump administration, the nation's top regulator of air and water pollution and industrial chemicals saw its budget slashed, leading to an exodus of employees and weakened enforcement of environmental rules. This time Trump could go further. Trump has already promised to kill the agency. Climate regulations and people close to the Trump transition have recommended ousting EPA career staff and eliminating its scientific advisors. There is even discussion of moving EPA headquarters and its 7,000 workers out of Washington, possibly to Texas or Florida, as a way to shed employees. The man who would carry out the dismantling is a former congressman from New York, Lee Zeldin, who is set to appear Thursday before the Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works. Zeldin appears to have embraced Trump's seemingly contradictory position. He says he wants clean air and water while he plans to erase regulations that ensure both, along with limits on the emissions of greenhouse gases from fossil fuels that are linked to stronger droughts, wildfires, and floods. Upon accepting the nomination to head the EPA, Zeldin wrote on X, "We will restore U.S. energy dominance, revitalize our auto industry, and make the U.S. the global leader of AI. We will do so by protecting clean air and water." Senator Shelley Moore Capito, Republican of West Virginia, who chairs the Environment Committee, said of Zeldin that, by being the representative from New York, he has seen all different types of clean air, clean water issues, and the best way to solve those problems. But Ms. Capito, whose home state is a major producer of coal and natural gas, also appears confident that Zeldin will execute Trump plans. Zeldin has not said much about whether he accepts the established science of climate change, but he was a member of the Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus in Congress. However, he voted against the Inflation Reduction Act, the nation's first major climate law, which pumped at least $370 billion into clean energy programs. Governor Kathy Hochul of New York criticized Zeldin during Zeldin's tenure in the House. He voted against clean water legislation at least a dozen times and clean air legislation at least half a dozen times. Still in 2020, he voted against legislation to slash EPA's budget. Senator Edward J. Markey of Massachusetts, a senior Democrat on the Environment Committee, said he met with Zeldin Tuesday and had a good, candid conversation. Still, Markey questioned Zeldin qualifications to run the EPA and expressed skepticism about Zeldin commitment to guard the air and water from polluting industries. "I am not convinced the Zeldin top priority is protecting communities and our environment," Markey said. Zeldin said he believed that human activity contributes to climate change, but Markey said, "My questions go to what the EPA priorities would be under Zeldin leadership." 2 California PM2.5 exposed near neighbors are concerned about healthcare bills. Bill of the month: he went in for a colonoscopy. The hospital charged $19,000 for 2 KFF Health News RAWSEP View. If indoor residential wood burning, which affects the health of near neighbors, is not stopped, the near neighbors must seek healthcare for their wood burning emission caused diseases and early deaths. KFF Health of California emails newsletters on articles relevant to those who are concerned about whether healthcare offered to consumers is effective and competent, and whether the consumer may be overcharged by the healthcare industry while seeking healthcare. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Tom Contos is an avid runner. When he started experiencing rectal bleeding in March, he thought exercise could be the cause and tried to ignore it, but he became increasingly worried when the bleeding continued for weeks. The Chicago healthcare consultant contacted his physician at Northwestern Medicine, who referred him for a diagnostic colonoscopy. At least partly because Contos, 45, has a family history of colon issues. "I work out a lot," he said, "but my partner said this is not normal." My primary care physician said, "Given your family history, let us get you in Northwestern Memorial Hospital." He was asked to prepay $1,000 out of pocket, and he underwent the procedure in June. Then the bill came. Read more here. More bill of the month coverage in year 7. Bill of the month gives patients a voice in the 7th year of KFF Health News. Bill of the month series patients shared their most perplexing, vexing, and Downright expensive medical bills, and reporters analyzed $800,000 in charges, including more than $370,000 owed by 12 patients and their families. Bill of the Month, the series that dissects and slashes medical bills since 2018. Readers and listeners sent KFF Health News NPR Bill of the Month. Thousands of questionable bills. Our crowdsourced investigation paved the way for landmark legislation and highlighted cost-saving strategies for all patients. Other KFF headlines: Biden administration bars medical debt from credit scores. The move, which comes less than 2 weeks before President-elect Trump is set to take office, represents a challenge to the new administration. Employers press Congress to submit health price transparency before Trump's return. Trump first administration advanced rules forcing hospitals and insurers to reveal prices for medical services. Employers do not want to risk backtracking during Trump's second administration. California doctors and nurses press ahead as wildfires strain Los Angeles healthcare. Los Angeles Times: a primary care clinic burned, medical offices closed, and hospitals struggled with possible evacuations. The wildfires that have incinerated large swaths of Los Angeles County are stressing the region's healthcare infrastructure. Still, providers continue to find ways to deliver vital care. Healthcare is Newsom's biggest unfinished project. Trump complicates that task as California Governor Gavin Newsom enters the second half of his final term. Healthcare stands out as his most ambitious but glaringly incomplete initiative for California residents. Trump return puts Medicaid on the chopping block. Republicans in Washington are working on plans to shrink Medicaid, the nearly $900 billion a year government health insurance program that covers 1 in 5 Americans. Montana legislative leaders say the decision whether to renew Montana Medicaid expansion program this year will loom over behavioral health spending and hospital regulation, among other topics. For many rural women, finding maternity care outweighs concerns about abortion. Health is unlikely to be a top priority for the new GOP-led 119th Congress and President-elect Trump. It's unclear when and how the new Congress will deal with the bipartisan bills jettisoned from the previous Congress year-end omnibus measure, including a major deal to rein in the power of pharmacy benefit managers. 3A Utah, the world's smallest PM2.5 air quality sensor. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission. Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Pixel goes back to basics, allowing you the plug-and-play experience you didn't know you needed, tracking your air quality on the go, whether that be in your car, on a hike, or around the world, has never been easier. The Pixel is where you need it when you need it. 3B Utah, the PurpleAir story. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission. Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. January 9, 2025. A circuit board and laser counters founder and CEO of PurpleAir, Adrian Dibwad, didn't intend to start a business. Rather, there was a question he wanted answered. As he set out to get that answer, he realized he wasn't the only one asking. In 2015, Adrian lived in Draper, Utah, located directly next to Draper End. In close vicinity to Adrian's home was a large gravel pit operation. This meant that with every gust of wind along came a cloud of dust. Sometimes this dust could affect visibility or aggravate breathing for certain individuals. The closest government air quality monitor was 20 miles away, meaning Draper represented a large gap in air quality monitoring and air quality knowledge. Without this knowledge, residents of Draper and other surrounding cities could not get an accurate picture of their air. Adrian said to himself, "It is 2015, there has to be a device that can measure dust in the air," but he could not find one. He decided to answer the question, "What is in my air?" The early model to create his air quality machines, Adrian harnessed a new generation of particle sensors that could detect particulate matter. PM RAWSEP interjection here. The PM Adrian measured included PM2.5, which is smaller than PM10, which is gravel-sized dust. RAWSEP interjection wood burning smoke emissions are 90% PM2.5, particulate size 2.5 micron size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Besides being low cost enough for consumers to own, another advantage of PurpleAir PM2.5 monitors over federal PM2.5 monitors is that they can be located hyperlocally in residential neighborhoods, hanging from the eaves of houses of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners whose wood smoke enters the yards of near neighbors and sickens them. Residents against wood smoke emission particulates. RAWSEP would like to hand out PM2.5 monitors to near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners and have the near neighbors download data which shows if PM2.5 levels are above World Health Organization WHO safe limits for PM2.5 of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually. Then RAWSEP would help like to pass federal, state, or local laws against indoor residential wood burning emissions of more than WHO standards and shut down air polluting indoor residential wood burning one wood burning appliance at a time if necessary. Adrian of PurpleAir utilized these sensors, which are still used in some PurpleAir models, to create the first generation of monitors. Using these devices was empowering as it provided individuals with no prior access to air quality data the knowledge they needed to make informed decisions. In early 2016, Adrian had produced about 7 air quality sensors and was starting to develop what would become the real-time PurpleAir map. At this point in time, the sensors were built for a very small number of people were using them, but were they any good? To answer that question, PurpleAir sent nearly half their supply of 7 sensors, 3 to be exact, to the South Coast Air Quality Management District's AQ Spec Air Quality Sensor Performance Evaluation Center program in Southern California. This program tests the performance of low-cost sensors, which PurpleAir sensors are classified as against federal monitoring standards. While it was a risky move to send those sensors to California, it turned out to be the right move. The sensors were evaluated to have a 97% correlation with federal equipment, the highest the AQ Spec program had seen up to that point. This evaluation understandably garnered the attention of a large number of people in the air quality community, including researchers, governmental organizations, and community groups. As the company grew, it was not just people in Draper, it was people all over Utah, all over the US, and in fact all over the world. Air quality is an issue that impacts people globally. Now PurpleAir seeks to empower individuals with the data they need to know their air quality. Note: this article was originally published in 2022 and updated in 2025.